afternoon, everybody. My name is Alden Bislagic, and I'm your host of PassionateSoccer.com podcast. I have two special guests today, Heather and David Colp. We're going to be talking about parents and how they're going to be providing a good support structure for the young athletes. So welcome, guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Thank you for being part of the journey. Why don't you guys introduce yourself, and then we'll start in the discussion.
Okay, so I'm Heather Colp. My background is design and construction, and this is my husband, David.
My background is the same, design and construction.
Yeah.
And is that how you guys met? Like through the construction or?
Yeah, almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we've worked together many years and get along. It works well.
Well, it's important to see eye to eye, and that's a direct correlation to like how you're going to raise your kids and the young athletes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the discussion. I know we've been in contact, what is it, like maybe a year now, like we've known each other.
Yeah.
And from observing, I think it's a good platform for you guys to share your best practices and how you guys are creating an environment that young athletes can prosper, not just your own boys, but there's a bigger message we're trying to send here, is to help other families nurture, groom, and like position properly. But I don't want to take too much of the thunder. So like, tell me, what roles do you guys play in your boys' structure, supporting? Like, what do you do? What's the best practice in your household?
Yeah, so I guess we would have to go back to the boys grew up in Asia because we were over there for many years between Taiwan, Japan, and China. And that's where the boys first started playing soccer, actually was in South China. And so that was quite an experience, obviously, for many reasons. Culturally, they played for a local club where it was only spoken in Chinese, so they had to learn Mandarin. A different type of coaching experience as well, very different from the U.S. And they attended international schools over there as well. And so when they developed that interest in soccer, I wasn't working at the time, so I volunteered to help with the coaching and just try to be as involved as I could since I had that availability.
Yep. And we try, we promote a positive environment for them, and as well as say lessons learned from their experience.
Global outlook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Soccer is a global language. You don't need to speak Mandarin, German, French, Italian, Indian, whatever language it is. It's a global. Anybody when you see a ball, you're gonna go out there just like basketball, right? It's the same thing. Like you don't need to speak the language. That's how you make friends. That's how you build camaraderies and everything else. So like that's a great experience for you and your family that you went through different cultures and also opened their eyes as well. What you have here and what they don't have there tends to go back to appreciation. Speaking of the like you said, positive lessons learned. So like your outlook, like when somebody in your family, one of the boys, is trying to learn a skill, right? And then goes to practice, comes back home, tries to figure it out, and even like failing. Let's say they lose a game, so you tell them, "Hey, it's okay. You learned your lesson. Move on. What did you learn from it? And like, how you gonna fix it, right? Is that what you're trying to do?"
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a learning process, even for parents, right? I mean, there's a fine line that you have to walk with your child after games, after practices. If you think that they've had a tough practice or a tough game, sometimes you catch yourself and then you say, okay, I got to step back a little bit. Maybe they don't want to talk about it, right?
So we ask them, how did practice go? What did you learn? What can you improve? And then we'll look for videos also on techniques and things like that. And we share, teamwork, that the great thing about soccer, it is about teamwork, and which is very important. So we even when they lose, we ask them how, what can we do? What can you do to improve? What did we learn from that experience? Because I think losing is a very valuable lesson. And yes, everybody wants to win, but there's a lot to learn from losing, and we tell them it's very important.
The direction of their journey, the soccer journey, is they have to go through the losing part as well, because that's a life lesson, as you mentioned. It's not only winning. That's not life. In life, you're not going to win all the time. There's going to be, you're going to fall on your face. You're going to have to get up double as hard and keep working harder. There's going to be times you're going to be competing, professional projects. And so you have to be better than others. You have to keep working at the craft. That's soccer as well. Just keep improving, keep working yourself, learn from your lessons, keep when you fall down. So in my opinion, like, parents play a big role in, not to add pressure, but be the comfort zone and just nurturing, guiding the young athletes when on their home drive home, right? That's important. I just did a blog on it the other day, and I'm like, that's such an important part, because sometimes you're absolutely right. Even my parent head comes in there, and I was like, I need to be quiet. I need to let them observe it. If they come and say something in their car and ask me a question, I'm going to respond. If they don't ask me, I don't want to add more pressure or more negativity, because sometimes we as parents tend to be competitive. We tend to want more than the kids, versus looking at the long-term journey. Like, where are we going? How are we going to end up there? It's going to be pitfalls. Like, you're not going to be perfect, but they have to keep learning. Every practice, every game, every victory, every loss, it's a lesson learned. And sometimes, like, even my son asked me, how did I do? And I always look at the negative. Like, no, I got to focus on the positives, right? That's number one. Always look at the positives. And then you ask their kids, hey, what do you think you can improve on?
Right.
Sometimes they miss out a spot. Let's say they miss out something that you saw. What about this? They go, oh, yeah, you're right. Have them self-reflect. They have to realize themselves and recognize an opportunity on their side so they can keep working on it. If you put pressure on them, at some point they're going to run away. At some point they would quit. And the last thing we want as parents, as coaches, quitting. We want to channel them, or challenge and channel them properly to compete at the right level when they're ready, right? And they have to have the hunger. And we as parents, we feed into that hunger. It's like a small fire. You see a small fire? As parents, you can put gasoline in it, or you can put water in it, which means you can either diminish it or you can make it, into flames, right? And that's that passion we talk about. How do you balance expectations and then, of course, having goals and so on as a parent? Like, do you talk to your kids about, like, hey, the expectation is from coach this, what are you going to do about it? Or, like, do you let them, like, freely without goals? What do you guys do as parents?
We talk a lot about, actually what happens in practice, right? So what is coach looking for? What did you work on? I'm consistently at the practices, so maybe I see some things that my kids don't see, or the coach doesn't see. I don't think we try to set our expectations too high. Like you said, they're still young. They're 8 and 10. And so maintaining that love of the game is extremely important.
Right. We want to make sure they're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
We want them to love it. We want them to have fun. That's the number one goal. And then from there, is just becoming, learning from the game, learning from their teammates, learning from the coach. And so it's about, again, it's learning. And we take that into, what's happening even at school. You're learning at school, and it's the same. You're learning to improve, and that's the goal, is to improve every time that you go out and practice. We want them to what did they learn, but we take small steps. It's not a lot, and it may be, what didn't you do well this week at practice? Oh, my foot skills weren't okay. Let's work on that. So we we break it down.
Balance is the key, right, Alden, in anything in life, really. But you have to find that line where you're trying to help them, but you're not trying to push too hard. With that younger age, it's finding that love and maintaining that love and the fun of the game. As they start to get a little bit older and let's say 13, 14, we understand that there will be more pressures there and the expectations are higher. And that's going to come more from the coaches, right? And so they don't need that additional pressure from us. What we tell them is that if you love it and you want it and you have a goal, then you have to make some sacrifices. You have to work hard. Just a good example with, starting a business, right? You have to make some sacrifices when you're just getting going with your business. But you still have to find that balance. You still have to make sure that you're loving what you're doing.
And
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
but on that balance, we make sure that they're playing other things. They're doing, it could be other sports and also that balance is with school. School is very important. That education is very important. So we give them I would say, a well-rounded balance of things for life. And that's what we try to do for them. Not just focused on, one sport. We're not just focused on one thing. We have the variety of things we give them also.
Choices, right? The choices, at the end of the day, like they're going to choose and you're like, yeah, I don't want to play something else. I just want to do this, or vice versa. Oh, I don't want to do this. I just want to focus on my education. At the end of the day, they're student athletes, in my opinion. They're young kids. They're still developing. We as coaches, we're always trying to bring the best out of them and push them.
Right.
When I say push them to become better. Push them to be like an incredible player that we see potential in them. Because if I don't push them, or if we don't push them as coaches, they will never see their full potential. Sometimes there's a threshold as well, like maybe pushing too much, right? Maybe like we have to tone back and let them be, and that's at the end of the day, like there's different chapters we go through as in a curriculum. One of them is being really hard on the kids. The next one is nurturing and then molding and let them flourish, let the freedom. If they know what they're doing, if they're showing like the character of a champion, we call it, right? Working hard, showing up, always good attitude. Coach, what's next? Like let's keep working. Feed me. I want more. We as coaches, like that's fuel on my end. I'm like, hey, I gotta get him to the next level. I gotta, push him. I gotta invite him. I gotta challenge him. They're not being challenged enough. So there's a balance, just like you guys on the parent side, and like I'm a parent as well, so I understand it. But as a coach, my goal is to develop them, not individually, collectively. It's a team sport, as you mentioned as well. It's not just what's in it for one player. You have to, you're going to improve your individual skills while you're learning to play a team sport and common goals, right? And that's so important, even coming from a different culture. You guys, your boys grow up in Asia, like Asia is more like a collective family society, right? Like it's more family driven. So a lot of those values play a factor. And speaking of characters, I love your son's character because he's always the first one to practice. He's always supporting others. That's huge as a team member. Like to me, like that was one of the reasons I asked you guys to talk about this, because not that many kids do that. Not that because that's a character. Like that doesn't come, that's not being like pushed. No, that's somebody, he wants to be there. He wants to support. He wants to grow. He wants to work hard. He wants to ask. He wants to fix. That's important in his journey as a player. And then, of course, your younger son is going to be even better player because he's going to learn all that stuff. Is going to be like through the roof because your other one took all the battles. He's got more heart, but the other one is going to prosper even further. Like that's how typically it works 95% of the time, because the younger one is competing with the older one, and then by competing with the older one, it makes him just better player. That's what happens.
It's true.
But having a nice supporting structure helps a lot. And you guys are balancing it really well. Like lessons learned, like especially on the even the mental side. The body's like they're growing, they're going through growth spurt. There's going to be pains, there's going to be injuries, right? but having a strong support structure, like a good parents, and you guys see eye to eye, like if that's a positive, I'm telling you, like their learning curve is going to be so much faster than some others, what I'm seeing, at least. Um, so health, like psychological health, is as important as physical health. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I honestly feel that kids want to make their parents happy. They want to make their coaches happy. And so it's important that we're portraying that positivity for them. If you think back when your child scored their first goal, if you can remember, who do they look at first, right? It's mom and dad. And so they're consistently looking at our reactions and coaches' reactions. And so we have to be really careful not to be too negative so that pressure doesn't get to them. It gets in their head very quickly, right? And I definitely have been guilty of that. I can't lie in the past, right? If something bad happens, maybe I've got my hands over my head and that's normal, but we're very careful about trying to catch ourselves to not do that very often because, it definitely affects them, and that's normal. So staying positive is the key for them. I think, as you said, like pressure from the coach is going to be normal, and that's okay, right? But even then, you've got to find that balance because you can't coach every child the same way, right? They are a team, but they all have these different personalities. Some will be much harder on themselves than others, and some need, maybe to have, get yelled at every once in a while to pay attention. So that's really important that, you're reading, like we're reading our child's different personalities and maybe not reacting the same way.
Yeah, they are different. Each one has their own personality and between Quinn, even the way they play, their style of play. But we realize, they may have that pressure at soccer practice, but at home, we don't give them that pressure. We make sure, we're not on that. When they do practice or they do want to play, we help them, but we're not, say, dominating them. We're not overburdening them, but we are giving them that encouragement. We're giving them, if there's something they need, they think they want to improve upon, we're going to help them with that. And it's such that, even playing against them, so.
Speaking of like home, you guys talk to them about life lessons? Speaking like I know we talked about teamwork, like the soccer's a teamwork. Life lessons, you like from soccer team, there's like you can take this to the professional world, you can take it to school, you can take it, but you talk about them about like life lessons?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably why you say, like, our son is the first to practice and that makes friends easily, because that is a constant in our house. And I have a basketball background, where it was very important. It's always been very important. Teamwork, right? Learning to work well with others, facing adversity, whether it's, having a tough game or having somebody on your teammate that you disagree with. It's, that's really important, learning to work through those things, because we do explain to them that that's going to happen your whole life. And if you can figure out how to work through those moments now at 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, you're going to be golden, down the road.
And we've shared with them, like, my failures, what I did not do well, but what I had to do to improve. And those actual life lessons, because, they thought I was like one of the smartest students in school. And when I told them that my average was C's and D's, they were shocked. But I said, but I realized I needed to improve. And so I had to do a lot of catch up, but we'd share those lessons, those step backs, but how to go forward and move forward positively.
That's a great lesson. learn from your mistakes, recognize the opportunity where you need to improve, finding friends, building that camaraderie, that teamwork, continuously being there for your team members. I think it also shows a good attitude and leadership capabilities as well as we try to mold future professionals, future leaders, future good people on and off the field, which is really, really important, and sometimes, like you guys mentioned, there's different characters, different kids. Not everybody's the same, but we as coaches have to, obviously push and pull different, like different ways to motivate, different ways to push, different ways to make better. And sometimes they should not be even in the field, to be honest. Some kids should not be competing at the level that we're trying to compete. So there's different levels to compete for different players. And sometimes, like, we make even mistakes. That being said, what about like technology, and has that been an impact on the kids nowadays?
I would say, I mean, we look things up on the internet, or if I saw a video with a good foot skill, I say, look at this, look at this technique. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, we know that one. Oh, we didn't know that one. And so that, to me, Alden, that and the technology that's out there that you can just grab it and share it I find phenomenal. That we've never had that, and I actually use it for myself too on other things when I want to learn more about the guitar or something, some of the notes. So I look up. So we share that with them. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got me hooked, Coach, because basketball is my first love, and I had to really study soccer and learn it. And so, I have these videos consistently popping up on Instagram, and I'll pull the boys over and say, look at this one, look at this one. Maybe you can just try that and practice,
Yeah, there's so many avenues for the boys or young athletes to continue developing and leveraging the technology in a positive way, like to continue, like, because there's so much knowledge out there, and like a lot of great coaches, teachers, mentors, tips, tricks, whatever it is, as long as they can observe it and leverage it. What do you think, in your opinion, like this is generally speaking, parents are making mistakes with their kids, like anything you recognize, like you don't need to give names, examples, just like common points.
Sure. Yeah, I have to say that it kind of hurts my heart a little bit when the yelling from the sidelines, because I have seen the look, not even on our kids' teammates' faces, but other teams' child's faces when they hear the parents just screaming at them, nothing positive, and that is something that is going to turn a child off and just like eventually want to quit, right?
And even we hear the parents say, they're sort of yelling or very talking loud against the ref. We tell our boys, you control the game. The ref is there; they're helping the game, but you control. You don't blame it on somebody else or an event. You as a team control. It's within your control. So
yeah, just too much pressure, definitely from the parent side. That's the big one. Is anything in life. I can't emphasize it enough. Is the balance. It's okay to give some thoughts, but just seeing kids tear up on the field because the parents are yelling at them, or they get to a point where they're yelling back at the parent, that's not a good thing, obviously.
And the boys, boys have seen us cheer the opponents, and sometimes, because when our son's playing but against the opponent, they'll say, why are you cheering the other team? I said, they made a very good play. It's important. It's sportsmanship. Yes, I'm rooting for our team. I want our team to win, but you have to recognize the achievements of others also.
That's spot on. Sportsmanship is really important. I even tell the same thing to the boys. My philosophy is, hey, sportsmanship is everything. You have to be a good loser to be a great champion. Yeah. And it's okay to lose if the other team is better, which makes us, go back to practice and practice harder so we can beat that team at some point, at some stage, right? what happens is there's a direct correlation between how the kids behave on and off the field with the parents.
Yes.
So if you see the parents yelling at the sidelines, whatever it is, using a foul language, the kid's going to be a copy of that parent. So
Yeah.
I don't blame the kids if they're using a vulgar language, and we don't have those kids in our team. I'm just saying in general statements. I've seen it throughout my tenure, like, where you have kids behaving certain way, and then look, it's a direct mirror reflection of their parents. So like that's why I keep saying, like, what you do at home and how you acting, how you behaving, how you talking plays a direct impact on the young athletes as they continue progressing their journey. So if it's positive or negative, it's going to affect them. Sometimes they're going to have a bad game because of the discussion they had with the parents or whatever happened, all the variables that they have in their lives. Because soccer is not the only thing. They go to school, they have friends, they have some points they're going to have girlfriends. There's going to be all emotional balance there. Again, soccer usually is an escape to go and compete, get it out of the hard, be with friends, good environment. It's a shield. Usually becomes a shield from the real world because sometimes real world becomes harder and harder. And having a good infrastructure, which is parents supporting, nurturing, protecting, guiding, that's important in the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just real quick, Coach, you were talking earlier about, the correlation with, life skills and soccer. Just a few weeks ago, our son was playing during a game and he knocked somebody over and they looked like they were hurt. He stopped what he was doing. He could have kept going, right, and kept playing, but instead he stopped to see if the boy was okay. And for us, that was everything. That was a proud moment. I mean,
Very,
he
very
had
proud.
tears in his eyes because he's like, yeah, that's what it's about, is, being a good person, a good teammate, good sportsmanship.
Yeah.
That's spot on. Makes my heart grow as well when I hear those stories.
Mhm.
Lifting players up, even if it's your opponent, like, hey, you made a foul, lift them up, make sure that everybody's okay, go back and compete, right, and play. And
Yeah.
it's not about hurting. And even like this weekend, like let's say, like we're looking like backwards. Hey, the boys did well, but we don't need to rub it into somebody's faces. And right, we go shake hands, and then like that's why like I'm like a little bit, winning or losing doesn't matter. It doesn't feel good when the other team does it to you, right? So
Right.
you have to be a bigger person, bigger team, and just say good game.
Yeah.
We know we did well. We're gonna celebrate afterward. There's gonna be times to celebrate, but we don't need to do it in front of like other team members because I know how it feels to be on the other side, receiving side. It's not good, like, and doesn't feel good, and that's not sportsmanship. Like, hey, we
Right.
competed, we did our best. We learn from our lessons, and sometimes even being down and just continue. We have a plan. There's a plan in play. Just play our style. Nobody can compete with what we're trying to do, especially at the pace we're gonna keep playing. This is just the beginning and in the growth journey and the developing. And as I always keep saying, as parents play a big part. Bringing them to practice, that's a big part. If you don't bring them to practice, they won't develop. So,
Yeah.
like, those car rides become always a good discussion point, but they have to open up to you guys. They have to open up. Sometimes they're like the way of communicating them is to be quiet.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's the quiet treatment is sometimes is good as well in the car because they need to either swallow what they've done, or if they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk. That's
Yep.
okay, right? But like any other tips you want to leave for parents that you guys are doing that works well in this journey?
I mean, honestly, we're older parents. We waited a long time to have kids, and I would just say, just enjoy it. Enjoy every single moment because it's just gone like that.
Right.
I mean, I can't believe, our older one's 10 now. And so I would just say, like, don't stress too much and just take it all in. That's why you see me pretty much at every practice, and I stay and I watch because I love it. I love watching him and both of them, and I can see the difference in them both physically and emotionally. just over the course of a few months. So I would definitely tell parents just soak it in and enjoy it.
Yeah, we want to make sure they enjoy it. I mean, that's what's
Yeah,
important. We,
yeah.
If they came to us and said they don't want to play, obviously we'll ask why. Do you need a little rest? I don't want to play this season. We're not going to push them. We're going to understand. First, we're going to understand why not, but because we want to make sure they're enjoying it. And so, yeah.
Yeah, having fun is a big fuel to players while they're developing. If they want to just go this direction, if there's different levels in any sport, right? Like, and there's a fun level as well. But if you want to compete and play and continue growing as a player, there's levels and tiers, and there's different coaching as well. It's a journey as you go. Not every coach, not every teacher is the right teacher for your child as well. It works both ways. Some teachers going to be better than others. Some coaches are the right fit, but like they have to go through different teachers. And I always like to say is don't stick with one coach or teacher throughout the journey, because they won't be learning everything they can. Just like the school system, max 2 years, next coach has to take over, because they're going to learn all these different things from different coaches, different styles, different philosophies, and they have to go through them. And then, the parents have to adjust to different coaches, because not every coach is going to give you A to Z treatment or whatever it is, or the way they communicate. You have to just adjust and go with it. And as long as the kids, like you said, having fun and learning and developing, being challenged properly. If you see it, they're not being challenged properly, you have to talk to the coach. So they have to be challenged properly, which is always the right thing to do, and if they want to compete. But let's talk about you guys. So like you guys mentioned, you guys own your own firm. What kind of firm is it? What do you guys do?
So I started the business last year when we came back from Asia. It's Colp Design and Consulting, and I provide owner project management services in the building industry, both commercially and residentially, as well as design services. And David?
I'm a project manager for design and construction company Corning. We've been doing that for many years, and I can say, I love what I do, and it's nice being home, because I have more of a work balance life now, and I can spend more time with the boys and the family, and so and we try to pass that on to the boys and show them to
they
enjoy
see that
what you
we
do.
love our jobs. Yeah.
It's we told them our goal right now as your parent, but we're your guide, and we're going to help you. We're going to give you our lessons learned. We're going to tell you what we didn't do well, and we want to make sure you guys are going to enjoy life as you go. Our motto is live, love, and laugh, is what we tell them.
Any future architect in the family?
Possibly the younger one. He's definitely into building things. Yeah. The other one may be more of a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever they choose, as long as they love doing it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Spreading goodwill. We also, want them to spread goodwill, and that's, we do like soccer, as you mentioned before. It's international. The world is international, and so you can do that. Sports can allow you to spread that goodwill throughout the world.
100%. So Heather, I'm gonna post a link where people can find you if they're interested in. You do services in Connecticut, or is it throughout New England?
Yeah, throughout New England. Yep.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
And if any links, you can send me the link so people can find you as well. I appreciate your guys' time. Anything else you want to leave us with?
No, we appreciate it. Like I said, we're enjoying every minute of it and look forward to the future.
I got one that we shared with them, Alden, and I ran track in high school, and our friends played all kinds of sports, but predominantly it was track. But the coach was a very good coach, and the one thing that he taught me that we passed on: the hardest that you will work is in practice. Your game day will be a little easier. I'm not saying it's not, you need to make the effort, but what those lessons you've learned from practice, you'll carry over into game day. And so that's what we try to, to carry on with them also. So
Same philosophy on my end. We're gonna play as hard as we train, and in practice, if you watch it, like we go 150 miles an hour, and that's how it's supposed to be, and that's where you push him. And then, of course, you want him to continue the same level. I don't want to see him fall off in a game, because if we train as we play, nobody's gonna stop us. And then that's great philosophy from your coach. I 100% agree with it. Just gotta continue with it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being
Thank you
part of
very
it.
much.
I appreciate your time. I'm definitely going to see you in the winter session. It's coming up soon.